Hey, listener. This is Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two pals recap romance stories and swoon and drool and faint. This week, I'm joined by one of my favorite people. Incidentally, she's also one of my favorite people to be pervy with specifically. Kenya Goree-Bell is here to recap a moody indie film. And as usual, she gives us some serious wisdom. So, here's the Netflix movie Really Love with Kenya Goree-Bell. Oh my gosh, I'm finally here with Kenya Goree-Bell. It's been way too long because we've been talking about this for months, and I'm so excited. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited too.
Also, listener, we've been talking for at least 15 minutes already, so it's already been a fun time that I didn't record, so there. Oh my gosh, okay, you have had a lot going on lately.
Yes, I have been putting in production the next book in the Mogul series.
Yeah, book 4, right?
Book 4,
Yeah.
and it's been super busy. I'm getting feedback. People are loving it, and I'm so excited to bring it out into the world.
Heck yeah. Oh my gosh. So the Mogul series as a whole is amazing, but tell the people about the Chronic specifically.
The Chronic is, once you see the cover, you will obviously see that the hero, Chris, the Chronic, Kyriakis, looks very much like Dwayne Johnson.
He does.
Because he is my muse.
Mm-hmm.
And I worship at the shrine of Dwayne Johnson. And
I support that.
He's the hero in this book. And he falls madly in love with his best friend, Miracle, who is a young, quirky, fantastic, autistic girl who is a film researcher. Ooh. And pursuing her master's in film. Mm-hmm. And they have just met at a premiere, and he is friend zoned because he's told he can't have her. But he says, F that, I'm gonna get her.
Whoa.
And we just go on the journey of Miracle and Chris as Chris tries to convince her to be his love, and she says, hey, wait a minute. I can't lose myself in you. You're too big of a star.
Aww.
And he just does his damnedest to convince her. And it's so deliciously filthy.
Yes! That's how we like it around here.
Yeah, because she's a sensory-seeking autistic. Yeah. And in my research, I found out that my son is also on the autistic spectrum, both of them. And my oldest son is a sensory seeker. Mm-hmm. And I found out, as being a mother and a parent and a researcher, that they really love and enjoy sex.
Good.
So I got to have a lot of fun writing those characters. And, it's a great ride. So
that is so cool. And can I just say, the cover is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Like, true work of art. I really love it.
I'm glad, because the young lady who does it, Whimsical Designs, I just went in her DMs one day and I was like, hey, have you ever thought about doing a romance novel cover? And she was like, no, but Whoa. Sure, I'll try it. And now we're on my 4th book that she's done for me. And I got 3 more. I'll show them to you, Melanie.
Oh, I love it.
That are so gorgeous that she has to complete the series. So
incredible. I love that team up.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, you got to get people before they blow up.
Very true.
Then you can't afford them.
Yeah, it's true.
I contacted an artist one time, a photographer, and he was like, because this was for Lotus Flower Bomb, and I wanted an Asian guy, and I wanted Tony Thornburg, who is this gorgeous Versace or something model, right? And the photographer was like, yeah, it's $8,000 for a picture of him.
Oh. That's a number I can barely comprehend for one picture.
Right. One picture. That's just one.
Oh my gosh.
And that is what the market calls for if you want that picture. So I was like, I need to get somebody to draw him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how I got into the world of illustrated covers. Yeah.
I love it. That's really
Yeah.
cool. That's
You
a
have to
very
find people.
creative fix. I like it.
Yeah. And then you get the diversity that you want.
Completely.
And because it's stock photos, everybody will tell you it's hard to find good pictures of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I just went the illustrated route.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Plus, supporting author or supporting artists, big proponent of supporting artists.
Yes. Support the arts, people.
That's right.
So that's my thing.
That's right.
So
Well, actually, okay, I didn't even mean to do this, but it just seems like you and I are a dream team. The movie that you chose today is all about an artist.
yes, that movie, Really Love, is about a struggling artist and a
Yeah.
lawyer,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. A law student who turns into a lawyer in the process of the movie.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a cute little film.
It was really cute. Yeah, it's very like indie film,
It's very artsy. Yeah.
very artsy in a way that, like, honestly, I'm going to be super honest with you, I can't really access. Like, I don't super understand, like, big serious art,
Yeah.
like, I'm very much, my house is filled with comic book art, so like, it's just, I'm a different bird. So anyway, it starts with like this like really sort of gritty atmospheric scenes of DC, because it's all set in DC unless we're in Chicago, but we'll get there later. And I don't know, I really liked the fact that it felt so situated in the neighborhood, like
Right.
it was really, really cool. And then we got to see an art gallery that
Right.
Uzo Aduba is the gallery owner of.
Yes. And gorgeous Michael Ealy was putting on the show there.
Oh my God, Michael Ealy is
Yeah.
like too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how we're the same species, honestly. You know what I mean? He's so pretty.
Even looking like a scruffy artist,
I
he
know.
was like, he could still get it.
Oh,
He could still get it.
any day. Any
And
day.
twice on Sunday. Yeah. Three
Uh-huh.
times next Sunday. Yes. And Kofi, which was I looked up Kofi Sidibe. I think this was his last name. I looked him up and he's just 27.
No.
And I felt sad. Because I've been
Wow.
married 27 years. And I was like, this could be your child. And I was like, I could just wish him well.
That's right.
But
No.
he was gorgeous. And I was like, and so we get to the art gallery and we're looking at Michael Ealy's art. And then Kofi's in there. And he meets a girl.
Oh, yeah.
And,
And he's wearing
and
his signature beanie, which I find to be very important for me, Melody. And he's also wearing overalls, which was unfair to everyone in the world.
his skin is just so luminescent.
Oh my God.
He's just that young man.
We're being
so-
very lecherous, and I don't
Yeah.
care.
That young man is so gorgeous. Just like I'm like I just love, like, I would go crazy in an environment like that, even though I've been married a long time. Because I'm a hugger and I'd be liking to touch. So I would have just enjoyed being in the atmosphere between him and Michael Ealy. Like I would,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I would have been trying to figure out 17 ways to just like brush up on him. Oh no.
Touching, like, is it okay for me to touch you? Because you said y'all big on consenting here, and
You gotta ask for
human
permission.
bosoms, and then I would have asked permission just to touch him a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah.
Oh my God. I also want to say, Yusuf, Michael Ealy's character, I did understand his art and I liked it.
Yeah.
It's just the more abstract stuff that I'm like, is it
Yeah.
good though? I don't know.
But see, it's all subjective.
It completely.
And I think when he was conveying to the Kofi's character is that you got to find your own voice, which is something we authors also try to do, which
Completely.
is because nothing's better than if you pick up a artist's work and you instantly know that that's that artist, whether it's a painter or a writer. Their voice is what speaks to you, because anybody can paint, you know.
Totally. Well, I can't.
But
but
you could draw a stick figure.
I can put paint on stuff. Totally.
Yeah. but what speaks to each individual person is that artist's voice.
Yeah.
And that once he found his voice, he took off and he flew. So
yeah, completely. So Isaiah does meet this very, very wonderful lady. Her name is Stevie, we find out later. And she's just like looking at a painting, and he does that thing where you like sidle up next to somebody and you're like, cool art, yeah? And she's like, yeah, it's so cool. Like, he's just, what is she says something actually really wonderful. I wonder if I wrote it down. She says something like, showing Black people as like elevated and totally normal, like beautiful and normal, or something like that. Like, it's I don't know. It was really neat.
Yeah, because it had Yusuf's art had so much dimension and depth to it. So
yeah,
he was able to see that, whereas I was like, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, totally.
So
yeah.
Let me try to sound intelligent about art.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save that when I go to a gallery or something.
I'm just gonna be a biter. I'm just gonna take the sound bites and I'm gonna make them come out of my mouth. It'll be great.
Yeah.
So, okay, she's wearing her whole aesthetic throughout this thing is like deep, deep V's in front.
Yeah.
And it is perfect.
Because she had a perfect body for
also that. Yeah, definitely. So she's wearing this like yellow dress situation that was incredible. And then he did that super sexy thing where like I don't know, like he knew it was going to be okay without like asking explicit permission, and he like reached over and grabbed her pendant to be like, whoa, this is beautiful. Is this West African art? And she's like, wow, yes it is.
And then he asked right as he touched it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, in my mind, I was saying, okay, consent. You should have asked first. But because I think they did it that way so it could let you know that sometimes the chemistry wills out, right? And it's just like, you could, because she was already like,
she was already turned a little to him.
But they were turned toward each other. They were slowly moving into that V thing where you're almost not quite touching, but you could feel the chemistry. I think they communicated that very well with them.
I think so too. Yeah, because it did not feel creepy at all, even though I did have the moment of like, would I let somebody grab my pendant like in just public? And then I thought about it and I was like, well, if we had this chemistry,
or Michael Ealy or Dwayne Johnson, Dwayne Johnson can touch anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, he would.
That's
right. He has consent. Universal consent.
Universal consent.
My husband might kill him, but he got universal consent from me.
He'll cross that bridge when he gets there, really.
We'll worry about that.
So he like gets distracted by the gallerist because she's like, hey, I'm really glad that your friend Yusuf told me about you. You seem really talented. You might be ready for like a group show in a few months, but like you got to work really hard and you have to commit yourself 100% to the work and stuff. And he's like, okay, cool. I will walk through fire for you if you give me an art show. Like I'll do anything you want. But then when he turns around, she's gone.
Yes.
She's gone. Opportunity missed.
Yes.
But then we go to a club, and it's a club his friend owns. And I forget the guy's name, but the girlfriend's name is Mecca, which I really, really loved.
Love it. And she was beautiful too.
Oh my God. Beautiful and so smart. And she's got like 4 degrees, and her parents are upset because she uses that to do like a really cool indie coffee shop. That
she's like a barista.
Yeah, she's a barista, but she owns it. And she supports like farms all over the world, and it's all like, legit and stuff.
Yeah, she's a free trade supporter, and she's gorgeous, and her boyfriend is hip and cool.
Yeah. So he's there and he's like excited to have a fun night. And then who walks in but Dream Girl from the gallery. And what happens? But Mecca runs over to her, makes a beeline from their group over to this girl, and they like hug. And Kenya, the way that he took, like, was looking at her and took a sip of that drink and then put it down and then walked over there. Oh, it was cruel almost. Like, it was too much.
Yeah. Because he was on a mission, because he was not going to let her get out of his sight again. Once he had her, he was not going to let her go.
That's right.
And that speaks so much to what we love about romance. Like, you want the hero to be all in for the heroine the moment he lays eyes on her. And I love that about this.
Very decisive, our Isaiah.
Yeah.
And I also loved that, like, she was incredibly awkward. Like, there's no two ways around it. She has no idea what to do with herself. She can't stop looking at the floor. She keeps, like, taking peeks at him and then being like, is this real life? Like, is he really talking to me right now?
Is this gorgeous guy? Like, she's flummoxed. And she's like, okay. And I just think that's almost like, he's so driven and he knows what he wants.
Yeah.
He just has to figure out a way to get it. And that's in everything. And once he figures out that way, he is relentless. Then she is kind of the person who just goes by the plan.
Yes.
That's been set before her, and she's going to tick all the boxes. She's going to double check and make sure the corners are creased and everything.
That's right.
But once she's out of her element, she doesn't know what to do with herself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she craves safety, and she craves the security of a plan. So, yeah.
Yeah, and yet she's also, like, very, very excited by the idea that people don't have to live that way. Like, it's almost as if it's never even crossed her mind. And he's like, yeah, my parents really want me to, like, get a job. And I want to be an artist. And I want that to be my job. And so I'm going to struggle until I get there. And she's very like, my parents have wanted me to be a lawyer and go to a big firm and do the money thing. And, like, that's what I'm doing right now. But I could maybe do something else. And that's a weird idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they dance all night. Everyone, they dance all night and they flirt their faces off, and it's beautiful. And then we get this really long dawn shot of them, like, just, like, slowly walking down the sidewalk. That slow walk of a date you don't want to end. Oh,
that was so beautiful. I like the cinematography in this movie.
Yeah.
And it made a place where you see such an urban center feel safe. Right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
It felt like it could have been anywhere. It could have been a small town. But like they say, every big city has several small towns within it.
Yep.
And it just made it like, this is like the coolest, most memorable date of my life. And then we saw the sun come up together. And that memory, as we'll find out later, that kind of thing sticks with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So he finds out that, like, she grew up in the Netherlands, but her whole family's from DC. And she's like, wow, you're a painter. That's amazing. And he says, we're all artists. I just happen to be a painter. And I was like, wow, that's a really beautiful way to think about, like, life and the world and people, you know? Yeah, it was really neat. And so she's about to go into her place. And so he says, I know you're busy with law school and everything, but if you ever want to take a pause, like, maybe we could do this again. And then she puts her number into his phone, and it's happening. It's all happening.
Yeah. And,
it's great.
And he's excited. And then and what I liked about his character is, like, he was intense, but he was also low key, you know? So, and he was, like, really into, he was really into her, and she was really into him, but it was almost a subtlety in his action that was so intense with every little thing that he did that it just that in itself in a movie that doesn't have a lot of action
Mm.
is what moves the story forward,
Oh,
right? So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because there were a couple of times, like, they weren't intimate moments, like this moment on the street. I was watching and I was almost like, not uncomfortable, but you know, when
Mhm.
like you're looking at something and you're like, this is such a private moment that like I feel I want to keep watching,
Like
but like, oh, the tension of just them like getting to know each other was really palpable and very cool. And then they do the sexiest double cheek kiss that's ever happened in human history.
yes.
They do this double cheek kiss that's like, he's like so close to her lips and they both know it. And it was too much, frankly.
Because I thought he was going in. I was like, how is he going to kiss her? They're not there yet. But it was like, oh, just to the side enough. But it was so intimate.
I know. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay, so now we cut to Isaiah and we get like their family dynamic. And it's very like, the dad wants him to get a job. Did you do that application? Are you going to be a 9 to 5 person? And he's like, Dad, I told you I wasn't going to even apply. Like,
Right.
we had this
We
conversation
already.
already. I don't understand.
And what this is what was so funny about that. It was like you could tell that they'd had this conversation. Like this might have been the 150th time because he was not a kid. He was like in his mid to late 20s at
Oh,
this point.
yeah.
It's obvious because he had went to the art school university.
Right.
So he was an adult man and he was like, I'm just not gonna do it. And his mom was like, I already told you he could stay here as long as he wants to. You know, like you could tell like the undercurrent of the conversation was just like me. Cause this is what's funny. My son is an artist, the youngest one. He's
Yeah.
just 11, right?
Oh,
So
cool.
but he also has this extraordinary talent. And I was like, my husband was like, are we gonna be supporting him his whole life? I was like, I don't know. But he's our kid. We gotta like, cause I'm for the arts, you know, I'm an author.
Completely.
So I'm like, well, we gotta do it. And my husband's like, we really don't. And I was like, because I'm already looking at art schools for him and things
Heck
like that.
yeah.
And so, and I was telling him about Banksy and how Banksy, I know this is a digression, but
No,
I was telling
please.
him how Banksy had this art at Sotheby's and how
Yeah.
he put it up there and people bid like $22 million on it and it shredded itself. I was like,
Uh-huh.
that's so what Carson would do. And he was like, he shredded his own. Somebody bought it, and the minute it sold, it shredded it. And I was like, and they went crazy over, and now it's like twice that much because they put it back together.
You got to put it back together.
They put it back, and that was part of the art. Like he was
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, it's gonna be a surprise. And somebody bought it, and it shredded the whole picture. And I was like, you know, the artist is like, it's the mischief in the art, you know. And
Yeah.
so I was like, he could be like Banksy and sell a picture for $20 million one day. So we have to support him. And I'm like, no, we really will not be supporting him. So you could tell that kind of conversation had happened with Isaiah's mom and dad, and the sister was just like sitting up there, you know, totally egging it on.
She had popcorn basically. She was like,
they had like, oh, the church. They were talking about church, which it was obvious he ain't been there in years.
Mm-hmm.
He had no interest in that. It was so much done in that little piece that told us about that family dynamic, and I loved it. And it was like, his daddy was like, are you gonna get a job? He was like, nope, walking off, I'm leaving.
I gotta go.
Yeah,
it's time to go.
Not having this conversation again.
Yeah. Okay, so now we cut to Stevie and Mecca, and in Mecca's coffee shop, and they're talking about like what she wants to do professionally, and she's like, I mean, you know, I don't know that I want to be like a partner and like do the partner track lawyer thing, because it's it's like 18-hour days and shit, you know? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I might want to, like, you know, work at a legal aid fund or something. So, and then she tells Mecca that he did ask her on a date and they are going on a date. And
Right.
it's really exciting. Oh, and then he and Yusuf, Michael Ealy, have a talk about painting. And he like
Mm-hmm.
Michael Ealy is like the older artist who's like imparting knowledge upon the youngster, the young
Yeah.
whippersnapper. And this was actually really, it was good advice, I have to say. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he said, you have to make your living space and your studio space separate
Separate.
entities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and once you do that, you're going to feel like a real artist, you know? And then he said, and you have to keep one piece from every art show. And Isaiah's like, I mean, but money though? Like, why would I do that? And Yusuf's like, because you have to own your own shit. And I was
Yes.
like,
Yes.
whoa.
And I was like, that is imparting some knowledge that people don't always like ownership in any kind of industry where
Yeah.
you're an artist, because it's very easy to be exploited, whether you are a writer or actor, anything is very easy to be taken advantage of
Yeah.
by predatory people. But
Yeah.
as an artist, painter type artist or crafter, you can keep a piece from. That's very smart.
Very smart. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because then you also have a stake. Okay. So
But what does he
now
do though? Or do you want to say what he does
no,
now
please tell
with that
me.
art?
Please tell me everything.
Instead of him keeping it,
Yeah.
he gives it to
He gives it to
Stevie.
Stevie. Yeah.
He gives the art to Stevie.
Yeah. I really like the fact that they do spend so much time on their differing pursuits, you know, because we've got this
Yes.
scene with Yusuf talking about painting as like an industry, you know, and then we
Mm-hmm.
cut to her doing like a mock trial situation at
Mm-hmm.
Georgetown. And then we go on this date. Do you remember the date? The
Mm-hmm.
date was like delicious. It was
Yeah.
everything I could ever want. It was like a picnic on the hood of his Jeep. And then he like piggybacks her around. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. He shows
And
her his
that is like,
studio.
and she really gets to see, he really opens himself up and makes himself available to her.
Mm,
And I think that wars with what her mother says later about the somebody investing in you as much as you invest in him
yeah,
and them. And that's great advice for women,
it is.
but he was already doing that. And I think a lot of times that is not necessarily the big monetary offerings and things like that. Like, it's them making themselves available and them opening themselves up to a certain type of vulnerability that
Yeah.
allows you to see into a person's soul, because all people have different capacities of how much they can fit into their well and how much they can pour into yours.
Mm.
So him in the beginning, I thought that was just lovely. In the smiles, they were so happy, and that was conveyed so much through the film, and the attraction just seemed so natural,
Oh
you
my
know.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And then he so they're in his studio
Mm-hmm.
and she's looking at his art and stuff. He shows her a painting he hasn't shown anyone yet, which is, I think that's a really good illustration of your point of him like opening himself up in ways that, you know, you might not expect. And then she says, "How do you know when a painting's finished?" And there's this beat, and then he looks her dead in the face and he says, "How do you know when you're making love to someone?"
Mm-hmm.
And boy, does he saunter right up to her and do a big smooch on her face. Oh my
So
God.
sexy. Yeah. So sexy.
This was the moment where I almost flipped every table in the universe, though, because it does fade to black.
Yeah.
And I wasn't happy about it at this point. The film makes up for it later.
But
But
I was, and see, that was my thing too. I was like, is this going to be like, closed door and we're not gonna see anything.
Uh-huh.
I was like, but it faded to black, and it left me wondering, did they have sex or did they not have
I
sex? And
know.
then later we see when they actually, it was just a moment. Like,
Yes. I
yeah.
feel like they boned though, right?
I didn't think so. I
You
thought the
didn't?
first time that where we actually saw it was when that was their first time.
Oh.
Yeah. And I didn't think that until later, because at that moment, just like you, I thought and I was like, maybe they had a discussion later. And they was like, we
Mm.
got to get this, we got to show this black love on film, them being intimate in a
Yeah.
beautiful way. Because all of the, intimacy was so sexy. And I
It was
felt
so well
bad, lecturers.
done. Like
Yeah.
it was not only sexy, but it was poignant. It was very emotionally deep. Like it was
Yeah.
really well done.
It was an artsy film. We should say that too. It's not action packed, y'all.
No.
It's like you gotta stick with it. I was like, after I started watching it, I was like a third of the way through, and I was like, Melanie is gonna kill me.
No. Not at all.
I was like, this high art film. She was like,
No, not at all.
because my husband be like, you can't pick another. You can't. You can't pick stuff. He was like, He said, you can't pick no more.
No, you know what? I might have been worried about talking about it with someone else, but I was like, I can talk to Kenya about literally anything, and we'll have a great time. So
we will talk about anything. We've established that, listener. We've established that. So we're continuing this after we get off of here. Go ahead.
Oh, hey, HBs. I don't know if you've heard, but we have a Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you get over 150 bonus episodes, most of which include Aaron, videos of regular episodes, author hangouts, and so much more. Do you want to hear Aaron and I recap every single episode of Crash Landing on You? What about a little film called Psycho Stripper? Do you want more recaps of ridiculous Thanksgiving and other holiday books and movies? And how do you feel about Naima Simone and I recapping amazing reality TV? All of that and more is on the Patreon. There's so much content at your fingertips as soon as you sign up. Seriously, hours and hours. Anyway, it's patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms Podcast if you want to check it out. And of course, that link is in the show notes. Keep being a badass. So now this is when he does give her that painting. He sends it to her house, and she calls him after she opens it up, and she's like, wow, I was gifted a painting. And he's like, oh my gosh, another artist sent you a painting. I'm going to have to step up my game. And then she says, I think your game is just fine, which
it is. It is.
You're doing great, Isaiah.
Yeah. He knows how to win a girl. We've established he knows how to win a girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just Isaiah.
And then she is the most perfect being on the planet. And so she says, will you come hang it up for me? Which I thought was very, very savvy.
Yes. Like he has the eye and the body, so he's strong. So get him to put it up for you, girl.
And like any opportunity to get you in my house, let's make it happen. And then he even makes this sexy, which I thought was just astounding. So she's like, I was thinking about hanging it over here, and it's like in the middle of the living room or something. And he was like, well, it really depends on how you want to interact with it. Like, do you want it to make you smile when you just walk through the door? Or do you want to think about it when you're undressing yourself? He doesn't say that, but that's what happened in my brain.
Yeah. How close do you want this painting to your naked body? So the painting is a metaphor for him. So yeah.
So she does hang it in that bedroom. which
Yeah.
good move.
Yes.
Good move. Oh, it's great stuff. Okay, so now we have this dating montage that, like, it was only one date, but it seemed like it was at least 3 weeks of dating. Emotionally,
Yeah.
like, it was gorgeous. It was amazing. Then we have another dad scene.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I related to this a lot because he's like helping his dad paint the living room of his house, and he's like, "Dad, why are we doing this again?" And the dad's like, "Because your mom wants to repaint the living room, okay?" And then the dad, very shittily, but also kind of funny, he's like, "I mean, you love painting, don't you? Like, you're
Aren't
the
you a painter?
painter."
He kind of does a little pause and a little quirk of the eye, and then, but how many? And I related so much because as a writer, when you first start out and you tell people that you are a writer or you're and they like, yeah, right,
Sure.
right. Because and Kanye West said this one time, and it was so funny. He was like, his mom told him, baby, it's just a hobby until you get paid for it.
I
And
mean,
that's the truth.
that's very true.
It's an expensive hobby because paint is not cheap.
Right.
And especially he was doing oil. So that's very expensive.
Yeah.
And he was doing a lot of layers. And I'm like, he ain't got no job.
Where are you getting the paint? Is really the question. Are you eating or are you just buying paint?
You could tell in the backdrop of this, his mom was probably supporting him 100%. His dad unknowingly.
Oh, yeah.
Probably
No.
was doing it.
No, he
Yeah.
thought that she had some sort of like side habit that nobody knew about, but the side
Yes.
habit was really just the son's paint.
Yeah. She just giving him money, on the side.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so now it's group show time. He does group show.
Mhm.
Very
He does
exciting
group
stuff.
show. Very excited to do the group show.
Mhm.
But then the gallery owner is not that impressed.
Yeah. She's like, you could do better. And he
Mhm.
is like crushed to his soul.
Crushed to
It's
his soul.
it's a lot. Right before that though, he does introduce Stevie as his girlfriend
Yes.
to some
This,
hoity-toity old classmate or whatever.
yeah, the successful already had 3 shows in New York, mediocre artist guy.
Yeah.
Which then leads to I actually wrote this down.
Yeah.
Then when he talks to Yusuf
Yes.
after that, is it okay to go there now?
Please. Yeah.
When he goes in there and he talks to Yusuf, I wrote it down in my journal. I didn't bring it in here. When he says, you can't just be great, you have to be the motherfucking unicorn.
Yeah.
And I wrote that down, Melanie, because that is the truth. You got to be so much better
Mm-hmm.
when you are in spaces where you are the only one, and that's me speaking on, diversity.
Yeah.
That you just can't be average. You got to stand out. You got to be, already in spaces where it's what we call rarefied air. You
Mm.
cannot, you gotta, if that is something that's an extra burden, but it's understood.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what comes with that when you know you the shit is like you just like what he needed to see was, yeah, you got to be a little bit better and you got to surround yourself with greatness, but once you get there, and I love that he was still humble after he made it, but that's what Yusuf was saying. I know I'm there. I knew I was there in art school,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to get in these spaces and you
Yeah.
got to get where you need to be in these spaces. And I was like, you just can't be great. You got to be the unicorn.
I
And I
know.
just like, I understand, like, I embraced that. Like, it's probably problematic to continue that thought process because everybody should just be as good as they need to be.
Yeah, but
But
we all
sometimes you
exist
got
in a
to,
system,
yeah.
like,
And that is like, and that kind of drive that little, some people just have that little extra little, and this is my achiever thing I was telling you in the strength.
yeah.
Like, you got to be just a little bit better.
Yeah. No, I
Always
know.
got to go. So
Because okay, so just to state it plainly, this old classmate is white, and he's like obviously like he seems pretty upper crust, so socioeconomically advantaged, racially advantaged, like, you know, all he's a dude, like, you know, he has all the things going for him. And when he's talking to Yusuf says, like, how much better are you than this fuckface? And he's like, and he says, enough. Like, I am enough better than him. And so what I loved about this, though, is that Isaiah looks at Yusuf and he says, like, something like, oh, and you're you're a unicorn. And then Yusuf just like takes a drag of a joint or something very artistic. And he goes, I wasn't born a unicorn. Like, I worked to become what I am today. Oh my God. It was very inspiring.
And I was like, Michael Ealy, you. I was like, that was the way he said it. The acting in this film was really good, I have to say. It was good. Not like a mediocre. Everybody was good.
Everybody was so great. Yeah. Okay. So one thing that we missed that we are very silly about is that after he calls her his girlfriend, they go home and they have some epic "we're a couple now" sex.
Yeah.
Boy, is it great. Also, I've never considered a belly chain, but now I am. She wears these belly chains that are just like totally hidden.
It's waist beads. They call them waist beads.
Waist beads. Okay.
Waist beads. And it's like in African tribes, that's where they get it from, where they wear like these little ropes of beads and stuff. But you can get them like Beyonce has one that's made out of diamonds.
Oh, of course she does. I mean, why wouldn't she? Really, is the question.
And it's really thin, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's so gorgeous. It's so sexy.
So gorgeous.
It's so sexy. Yeah. They sell them on Etsy. I
don't know. I think like just a secret waist bead situation.
Can you imagine you take off your clothes, like just one random day, and you got on waist beads, and your husband is like, what is going on?
What have I been gifted with today on this hallowed day?
It changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
Seriously. Like, I was just thinking about it, and like secret waist beads, I think might be hotter than like secret super sexy lingerie.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I don't know. There's something about it.
If really they were very sexy, I was like, yeah, that's the ticket right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, okay, Kenya did not do me wrong. It is not fade to black. We're okay.
Yeah.
We're all okay.
He has a very nice derriere.
That booty on him is really great stuff.
Yeah.
We only get to see, oh my God, right? And we only get to see like a third of it, you know, the top third of it. But there were thrusts involved that I just highly recommend to the world. Yeah. That's all, really, is what I have to say.
You know what I said? I was like, oh my God, we got some 365 thing going on in here. I was like, I'm surprised.
I liked it.
It was very intimate. It was so sexy.
Yeah.
It was very well done.
Yeah. It was such a romantically solidifying moment. And I love that the filmmakers knew to use it as like another emotional step instead of just making it like, you know, oh, we have boobs now. Great.
Because you could tell he was in love. Like, she, you know, he loved her.
Seriously.
She was his muse. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I just need everybody to know on Hat Watch, we are still beanie all the time. Okay. If he's at an art show, he is wearing a beanie. That's just notable for me.
Which
and I think his character.
Perfect head. He has a perfect head for the beanie.
He does.
But I could have done without the beanie. I thought the beanie was a little cliche, artsy artist thing for me. He could have just been walking around with overalls and no shirt, and I would have still been like, he's an artist with the paint splatters or whatever.
Just put the paint splatter right on his skin, you know, and we would have been fine.
A little bit right around the neck where, you know, the clavicle where the men wears a where the little muscle thing sticks out with the little bone or whatever the men have.
Yeah, that collarbone, maybe a little bit on his
Yeah.
trap.
Yes.
That would be fine with me too.
Yeah.
Listen,
We
this
were
young
all for the
man
pain. Like,
is.
I would have been at the studio with him. We would have got into the pain a little bit.
I would have suggested we do that art where you do strip naked and roll on a canvas.
Yes.
That's an art that I could do.
Or if you're not allergic to paint, just paint my body.
There you go.
That would have been like sexy. Okay, like amazingly sexy.
Very much
like,
so. Yeah.
Our minds we have really stepped this movie up.
we have, but that's our gift. You
yes.
know? They didn't consult us, and that was a mistake on their part.
They should have. I'll reach out.
Okay. So now, oh my gosh, they're doing this snuggle and talk that was just gorgeous. And she's questioning the roadmap, basically. Like, do I need to stay on this path that my parents have set out for me? Or like, do I need to be a lawyer to do the things I want to do? And he's like, I mean, it's pretty badass to be a lawyer, but like, you could still be a lawyer who does those things, you know?
Right.
Which I thought was a really fun, like, that was a really supportive and understanding, and yet, like, I don't know, still sort of like pushing your partner, you know what I mean? I don't know. I thought it was a really neat conversation.
He was challenging her in that instance to really step into her own self, you know, into her own identity of who she wanted to be in the world and the space she wanted to take up in the world. Because when we get to her parents, you'll see that they are pretty, you know,
they're overbearing
and overbearing people. Yeah.
Yeah. Hot though. Very hot.
Very, very,
very hot. Those two. Boy, unfair, really. So, oh my God, now we do get to meet the family. Oh
yes.
God. Kenya, this went so poorly.
I knew it was going to go like that because my parents are very similar in that thought process about raising those type A type kids, right?
Right.
So bringing Chris home was like very nerve-wracking.
It was touch and go.
Right. And I couldn't believe she did it. Right. Like, I couldn't believe she brought him to her house at that early stage in their relationship where you're still like, with knowing the type of mom she had, especially to be like, I'm bringing Isaiah home. Like, she was serving him up to the sharks at that point.
She really was, especially since like she obviously didn't make it super clear to him exactly what he was walking into. She was just like, my mom is kind of a lot. And he was thinking like, yeah, my dad's a lot too. But it's a whole different level over at Stevie's house. Also, like, just go to brunch. Go to a neutral ground, you know, where everybody's just meeting each other. Like, going into that big stately house.
Right. And her mom is like, you bringing him your boyfriend home, like you're Chelsea bringing your fiance home, your boyfriend home to Hillary Clinton. You know what I'm saying? That's
it's very like that.
Because she worked at the embassy.
Yeah.
Her mom was like a State Department type of person. And I was like,
Oh God. Oh God. He was wearing a hat backwards walking in. Stevie. There are things that you can help mitigate.
And you go to Georgetown. Yeah, he went to school, but he's an artist.
Yeah.
And they want you to bring somebody in a Brooks Brothers suit home, not a starving artist.
Yeah.
And
like, that's a failing on their part, too, you know? But just as far as interpersonal relationships are concerned.
Dad was cool up until the point where he was like, y'all, you're living at her house. You know, staying at Stevie's house. Because once he put his hands down, he was like, I'm done. No.
Yeah, he was like, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt, but it was such, like, the language was so precise because Stevie is sort of standing up for their relationship by being like, no, it's serious. We live together, actually. And the parents did not know that before. And the dad puts his hands down and he says, you're living together in your house? And I was just like, oh, that's... he hates it. He hates it.
Because he's from that generation, that provider generation.
Right.
This is very big. Because I can just remember, like, I felt sick to my stomach watching it because I, too, remember coming home from college and bringing my fiance with me. And my parents was like, who is this person? Who are your people?
Right.
What are you doing with your life? What is your like? It was just like a constant grilling. But I have always been the butterfly, so they were always like, "Of course, she's gonna bring home a hippie, some kind of." But I'm not attracted to what I am. I'm attracted to the square, straight legs. Very, he wanted them over.
Yeah.
But I felt that to my soul. I was like, "You have spoken death into this relationship."
Yeah.
When you brought him home to see your parents.
Especially since, like, Isaiah is not, he's not exempt from, like, the toxic masculinity that pervades all generations still, and so he's like, I'm a man, I should be the one to, like, provide, and I should be stable, and I should be all these things, but, like, in the profession I want, that's just going to take longer. And it I don't want to speak this into the universe, but, like, it also could never happen, you know what I mean? So it just preys on his insecurity in a very precise way that oh man, and it plays out beautifully. So, okay. So now he's stressed because he wants to do this show, and the gallerist Uzo Aduba was like, I think you can get there, but, like, you got to work your face off. So he's working 24/7 at his studio. And she like barely sees him. She has a conversation with Mecca and her cousin where she's like, I just want to be able to help him. Like, I just want to figure out a way to help him. And they're like, he's a man. He does not want your help. He wants to be able to just do it. And, like, that sucks for everyone. But it's also the system we live in.
But you know what? This is another thing that goes back to who she is when she asked him to move in. When she asked him to move in, that was also for her security. Because remember, she likes safety. She likes just, like, she's a person who will take care of everything. You don't have to do a lot. She just wants you there and present for her. And he's a person who is so consumed with his art and being a person in the arts. I know how that is. Like, you have to establish early on, and I think he thought he did that, how much his work meant to him. Of course. And when he starts, he thinks, like, this is the artist's life. This is what I do. I'm consumed by it. When I get a chance to create this show, just like he showed her saying, you take I'm going to support you quietly over here. He wanted that same thing. I think it was a miscommunication of the expectation.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. And how could she help him being an artist? You can't do the art. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like he couldn't argue her cases. Yeah. And I think that's what she misunderstood in the relationship.
Right. And, like, you helping him is not being pissed off when he's gone 12 hours a day. Like, that's you helping him.
That's the help you need.
That's like, that is you nurturing him in his art. Like, maybe send some takeout his way every once in a while. But, like, that is the help he needs.
He's already living with you.
Right.
That's the help he needed.
Yeah.
A safe space where he could come home and rest at night, because he's so consumed with this art. But she wanted to be like a little helper.
Right.
Helper. And he was like, no, I just need you to stand quiet, create the space for me to create.
Yeah.
Which is what all of us want who create. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Like, right now, my husband took the kids 40 minutes away, and it is the nicest thing he could ever do for me on a weekend. Like, It's
Yes,
so nice.
take the kids. Take the kids. When my
Please.
husband takes the kids, I'm like, yes.
It's the
Thank you.
best.
It's the best thing in the world. Just create the space for me to create.
Yes.
That's all that, and pay all the bills because I don't have a job. And that's what I put in every book. I'm like, thank you for creating the life so I can write.
Oh, I love that.
That's all he needed to do. And I promise you, one day I'm going to buy you a boat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. But I need a little patience at first.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now shit just starts going wrong all over the place. Like, he finds out he gets a solo show and she's really excited for him and she's like, take on the art world or whatever. But she doesn't really understand that means his work is going to ratchet up even more.
Right.
So at the same time, like, he's missing double dates with her parents. It's like bad, you know, like shit is going down and she's not feeling nurtured in the way that she needs to right now because her mom is also saying very true but relationship damaging things, you know?
Right.
So she has the opportunity, she's gotten this opportunity to interview for like a super insane law firm.
Right.
That's like big prestige, lots of monies. You gotta do the law firm thing. And so her mom at one point is like, hey, you cannot keep putting someone first who will never put you first.
Right.
And like, I got that, you know,
Yeah.
like, especially, I don't know, especially in like a cis-het relationship, it's really easy for the woman to fall into that, like, you know, oh, I'll just sacrifice this so that we can get this done as a couple. Oh, I'll just put this aside so that we can make this happen as a couple.
And people do it all the time.
All the time.
We do it when we start families. A lot of times, you know, the woman ends up staying home and things. And I think this spoke to like being young and in love when you're first starting out and you got to make those hard decisions.
Yeah.
But an artist can really live anywhere. And I thought it was very interesting that she never asked him.
I know.
Right. And I know he had a DC centric type of thing to his work, but really, come on, that can be a Chicago thing.
Yeah, UPS also exists. Paint in Chicago, ship it to DC.
Yeah, and I really felt, and I think another thing about being young and in love, and you know you're pursuing your dream, is when she was telling him about that she was interviewing for the firm. He thought he was being supportive. And she thought he was maybe trying to get rid of her, or he wasn't as invested. And you could see that just watching her expression when he was thinking he was being super supportive. And then he was like, well, yeah, this is your dream. Because he is about that dream thing, right? Pursuing your dream.
Right.
He said, you said this is the dream job, right? Of course you go after it. Yeah. But she never asked him to make us, and I would have loved to see that dynamic in the show. Like,
same.
Make the man make a sacrifice.
Well, or just, it's not even a sacrifice. It's just like a small shift to the left. Like, get over yourself. No, so we just watched a reality TV show that actually said something incredibly poignant, and it was like a dating show. And they were having a conflict, and the girl said, please don't hear things I'm not saying.
Oh, wow. Oh, love that.
And like that's exactly what happened here, because she said, what would you like? What do you think I should do if I get the job? And what she was saying is, do you want to be with me or do you not care? And when he said, I mean, you got to take it. Like, this is your dream job. She heard, I don't give a fuck. You can leave tomorrow and it's fine.
Right.
And like,
you could see it all over her face.
Yeah. And this dumb bunny over here was just like, here I am, just reading my book, being a himbo. Like, Jesus. Look at her face, you sillykins. Anyway, yeah,
And
like
he
don't
he
hear
was
things I'm
like,
not saying.
and he was like, I'm trying to be supportive here. And
Yeah.
then he finds out that he's the last one to know. And
Yeah.
he's like, but you haven't been here. And he was like, but I'm doing my show.
Right.
And I'm supporting you in your dream. Why can't you support me? Because let me tell you something. That's the line,
Mm.
right? And when you are in an artist or like a writer, the line for me is let me start feeling like you're not supporting my dream.
Oh, yeah.
I will. We're done.
It's a ripcord
You
situation.
Yeah. At this point, it's like I don't have you can't have that space for that kind of energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he started thriving when he moved out of his parents' house, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so he was like, I'm doing a show. And she was like, but what about me?
Yeah.
And really, when you have a gift and you feel like God is giving you that gift or the universe is giving that gift, that comes before anything.
Yeah. I mean, but I also understand that being a hard limit for her,
Yeah.
Like, it's perfectly acceptable for her to say, I support you in your dreams. I just can't walk that path with you.
Right.
That's also perfectly acceptable because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is a way to be an artist and a partner at the same time.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But do
And
you know that when you're 25?
I know.
Because, you're so passionate.
Yeah.
It's everything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And she also never thought to say, hey, come to Chicago with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, that would have been the end of the movie.
It might have been. Yeah. If he had said, no, I have to stay here on DC soil, then he's taking it too far, but he didn't even have the opportunity. So they get into this big fight, although I will say, so she comes to bed in sweats. And when I say sweats, I mean like sweat shirt, sweat pants, like everything on her body is covered. And he's like, I wonder if I could kiss up on your neck a little bit. And she's like, I am sending you every signal in the book. Like, shop's closed, Yeah. And he gets all mad about it, which, so.
But he respects her when she says no.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's like right there, and she's like, He was like,
yeah.
Okay.
And he's like,
pissed,
fine.
but
fine. Right. He's obviously disappointed, but he's not mean about it. You're right.
Yeah.
And she says, I really related to this. She's like, you can't just like never be here and then expect things to be cool.
He was like, I'm working.
I know, like just have a mature conversation, Melody. Like don't throw the barbs out there. It's unnecessary.
He was like, I'm working day and night on this show. This is like the biggest thing. And he expresses that. He actually says it. And she was like, well, you're never here. And then he was like, and I'm doing the show. And,
Yeah, well, but then he does start some tomfoolery that is unacceptable. And that is saying things like, I can't slack because I don't have rich parents to fall back on.
Yes.
And she's very like, go fuck yourself and get out of my house. Yeah. And he's like, oh, yeah, it is your house, huh? And wow. And then he does this mope in a shirtless fashion. And the lighting, and I've never looked that sexy while doing anything, let alone moping.
Yeah.
Like, Kenya. The way...
Like, oh, poor beautiful man.
The way that his abs were rippling, just like sitting still, was, wow, just artistry. Hey, HBs. I started an Etsy store. Did you know? Right now, it's full of all the St. Vincent items you need. Because St. Vincent is thoughtful and cozy all year round. We've got a book sleeve to keep your books, planners, e-readers, or really anything else safe when you're on the go. The inside is fuzzy, and they feel so incredibly lush in your hands. I went round and round with the manufacturers to make sure I had just the right thickness. Those feature art of St. Vincent and Evie during their carriage adventure that was painted by the amazing Mayara Faraz on one side, and then I created a St. Vincent Would Always wreath on the other side that has a bunch of little Easter egg items in it. There's a St. Vincent Would Always warm brick enamel pin. It's like, if you know, you know. I designed a special edition Marriage of Convenience candle that is specific to Devil in Winter, with the help of HB Jen at Post Pouring Company. It combines dark amber for St. Vincent and rosewood for Evie, and it smells so delicious. It's hard to even wrap my brain around. So if you want to treat yourself or be the St. Vincent you want to see in the world by getting a care package for a friend, check out our Etsy store. The link is in the show notes. Okay, so they're big broken up. And then it says a year later.
She's in Chicago.
Wow. Yeah. And one of his friends, his nightclub owner friend, Mecca's now fiance, we don't know that yet though, he pops by the studio and he's so obviously like a broken workaholic.
Yes.
There are like cobwebs on his eyes. He's like, what? Oh my God.
He's made it, but he's miserable.
Miserable. And then the friend looks over at a painting we can't see. And
I knew immediately it was her. I knew immediately.
And
my God. But
you knew she was naked, right?
I didn't know she was going to be naked.
Oh, I knew she was naked.
I didn't know she was going to be naked. And I didn't know it was so raw. It was so. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
The friend sees it, and when the friend sees it, he's like, "You poor bastard."
He's like, he's like, "Have you spoken to her?" And he's like, "No." And then the friend's basically like, "All right, come into my bosom," and then I'm leaving. I can't.
He was like, "It's so." I could see him going home. America, he gone, babe. He was
God.
He go home and tell. I know he had to be like. This guy, he is gone. I'm surprised he ain't hit the bottle and start taking fentanyl or whatever.
I mean, seriously, like I think throwing himself into his work is the healthiest choice for him in this moment. But like, geez. Well, also, that as he was walking out, he was like, this is why I do not give up the love of a good woman. This is why I bow down at Mecca's feet every day. Right here. Oh my gosh. So, okay, so then he drops this like, oh, I've got a trip to Chicago because he's got a show in Chicago or something because he is big time, okay?
He's big time. Articles are being written about him.
New York Times, okay? Yeah. Like, New York Times spotlight on Isaiah, big new artist in the world. So shit's happening, right? And you know that because when you see him
in the studio is looking nicer.
True.
So. Yeah. Got some good art, good light and art. Lots of windows.
Yeah. But the biggest, I'm sorry to say, I just need everyone to know the biggest signifier of the fact that he has made it is that the hat has changed. All right?
Oh, yes. The hat is a fedora.
The beanie is gone. The fedora has entered the building. There is a feather on it. It is a transformation, the phoenix has risen. So he's like he's in the Museum of Good Art in Chicago.
The Museum of Good Art. Yeah,
that one. You know the one, right?
The Chicago Museum of Art. Okay. It usually is like the Chicago Museum of Art or the Denver Museum of Art No, it's Denver Art Museum.
Listen,
I used to have like a job in the arts, but this is like
I've had a lot of jobs.
Oh yeah, that was like 15, a while back.
Because
I'm gonna start lying about my age, but.
No, but Kenya, the only reason that they have silly names like that is because they didn't ask me to name them. You know. Otherwise, they would have fantastic names like the Museum of Good Art in Chicago.
Okay, what's your big city? Where are you?
New York.
Where? Oh, you are?
Mm-hmm.
In New York? Oh my God, I'm so fascinated by New York people.
Well, I'm not in New York. I'm not
But,
gonna pose. I'm not gonna be a
but we can
poser.
go to like the big Museum of Art in New York.
Yeah, we could go to the MoMA.
New York. Yeah, okay. We could go to the New York. Is it New York Museum of Art? I don't know what they call it. What do they
So
call it?
there is the MoMA, the
Mhm.
modern.
Art Museum or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. Because the O is the O in
Oh,
modern.
it's
Yeah.
the Museum of Modern Art. So yeah, okay, go
That's
ahead.
the one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a journey that we just took. No, but there are a bunch. There are a bunch, and I've actually been to some of
Okay.
the like the Whitney and some of the
Okay.
smaller
Hmm.
museums. They're life changing a lot of
Hmm.
times. Like honestly, and then there's always the Met too,
Yeah, that's
which
what I'm talking about. That one. That one.
yeah, you can go look at a mummy and a carving of something cool, like
Okay.
good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, but no, we're in Chicago at that Good Art Museum.
Yeah.
And Stevie comes in with a date, which I thought was a bold move. I
Hmm.
don't know. Would you have done that? I don't know if I could have done that.
Because I think she knew he was gonna be there, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So why?
I
I
don't know.
don't know.
She's like shaking her tail feather. Like,
Maybe she needed that buffer so that she knew. Because like I'm the type of person that if like we'll use my husband for instance, if I've had sex with him,
mm-hmm.
if I randomly see him again, I'm gonna have sex with him. So if
Yeah.
I know that about myself, you need a buffer so you just don't immediately go screw
Just
it.
wrap our legs around him like an octopus.
Yeah, like you be like,
Because,
let's go.
yeah, me
He be
too.
like, come here. He's like, come here, let me talk to you for a minute, and we
And I'm
just
like,
be
where's the bathroom?
exactly.
you know, can we
So
find a convenient alley?
and
Really?
if you know that about yourself,
Yeah, it's true.
you don't go to events where you and still sometimes if you just really get carried away, the guy could be there and might still sneak away and hump the other guy. I don't know.
Sure,
But
sure.
I just know what I'm capable of, so you have to have a buffer. Cuz I would be like, okay, say for instance this happens, right?
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
get a Netflix deal and like we
Ooh.
go to like a premiere and
Yeah.
like Dwayne Johnson's there.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna be like, Melanie, don't let me fuck the Rock.
And I'm going to say, Kenya, I was the wrong person to bring to this event.
Because if it's the Rock and then it's Michael Fassbender, I'm gonna have some problems,
Yeah.
right? And
At the very least, I'm going to make a fool of myself.
I might no, it'll happen. It'll happen. Because I just know me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I know what I'm capable of. Okay, it's good pussy over here, and you might have to cut that part out. So I don't want to ruin my life or get nobody murdered. So
Totally,
I have to
totally.
take
No
somebody's life.
worries. Yeah, I can
Right.
cut that out.
So, yeah.
I might just bleep it because it's
I,
funnier.
I mean, you don't have to cut it out. Like, I don't care, but I'm just saying, if that's one of y'all heart, y'all can't say the P word on here.
Oh,
But I'm just saying,
no way.
but I need that person there
Yeah.
to keep me from falling back into my old ways.
No, that's just wisdom. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're completely
So
right.
maybe that's why she brought him there, because she knew she was vulnerable.
Yeah. And maybe she was like, you know what? He needs to see me in my moving on pants,
Yeah.
Like, he needs to
That's
see that
extra
he's not
petty.
the only
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
game in town.
But how quickly did she fold, though?
I mean, she's only mortal. So,
That
okay.
whole conversation was like, we want to have sex with each other, right?
Oh my
now.
God. Like they were just straight up soul fucking right in front of this
Yeah.
poor man. So they do
What was
have,
his name? Ahmad.
yeah, Ahmad. Ahmad was a sweetheart.
He
Boy,
was so sweet. Bless
poor
his
Ahmad.
heart.
Yeah.
Bless him.
So they have this whole conversation and it is tense in the sexual way.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, he leaves town and then he does leave her a voicemail that's like, I have my second solo show and I would love for you to be there. And so, boy, does she pack up her hot waist beads and she goes to DC. It's true.
She does pack the hot waist beads.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so they meet at this bar. And she walks in and it's dark. And I was just like, listen, everyone, you've made your decision already. You know, like if this is the meeting space and you're both cool with it, like it's on TM.
Yeah.
So they talk about his New York Times profile and all this sort of thing. And they go home together. And I feel like they spend another one of those like all night nights. And then they go back to his place and crash. And I thought they were waking up from a sexy morning after. But I don't think they were, because they were both fully clothed. And so once they like woke up and they were okay again, then it's on.
Yeah.
And wow, it was good stuff.
It was intense, very sexy. The whole black little thing, like you knew she understood the assignment.
Oh, that's right.
She had on the black lingerie and the waist beads. You know what the assignment was.
That's right.
And then I was like, how confident do you have to be on a movie set to let Kofi go down to the downtown place?
Yep.
Even if you ain't really doing it. Because you know how you start, like, I would have been sweating. I would have been perspiring.
I would have been a mess.
I would have been like, I know it's not real, but my body feels like it's real.
Yeah.
It was like
you can't.
His face was right there. I was like, bless it.
He does a kiss on her like her underwear is on, but he does kiss her pubis. Just smackaroo right there. And I don't know how she handled it as an actor.
I think you got to be it was a female director, so I'm sure it was a close set, very respectful.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
But he had to be a gentleman the whole time.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Or maybe they're together now is the fanfic that's in my mind.
I did look to see if he was dating anybody and I didn't see. I didn't see.
So it's a secret. Wow, it's a secret romance,
everyone.
So
he's so sexy.
Uh-huh.
Like everything.
Yeah. It's problematic, frankly. So, oh, wait, I'm so sorry. We do have to go back. Oh, shit. Or maybe I can do it after. No, we missed one part that I thought was really important from the first solo show. So rewind, they're still together.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know what you're going to say. Is it when he thanks everybody but her? He thanks the lady.
Yeah.
The gallery director person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He makes this big speech, and it's this big pregnant pause where he goes, and I wouldn't be here today, ... And she's like, oh my God, he's gonna recognize me for all of the time I've sacrificed with him to support his dream. And then he goes, thank you so much, gallery artist. I would not be here today without you. Oh my God. Yeah, that was a moment where I was just like. And
not his significant other, which is, somebody else did that. When they got an Oscar, they forgot to thank their wife. Somebody, I forgot who did it.
I don't know. That's that's divorce material. That goes right into the affidavit. Like
you got to say that person first. Like she gave you a place to stay. You had to heal your daddy. The whole thing. Yeah. And then because he had said she was his girlfriend, so he should have said,
Yeah, completely. Okay, sorry. But now we're back in DC, okay? And they've just had some hot sex that everybody enjoyed. And so then he wakes up and she's like, oh, don't go anywhere. But he gets a phone call. And so he leaves and he's like, no, I want that painting to be by itself. And so you got to put it in this special place. And she's like, ugh, painting is taking over our life again. So then she gets dressed and he's just like sitting in the middle of the living room, just like sketching. And apparently he's been there for a minute. So she comes out in his sweats and he's like, oh, I thought we would spend the day together. And she was like, yeah.
I did too.
And then he's like, okay, well, just hold on a sec. Like, I just got to finish this sketch. And she's like, no, I'm super not going to do that. Because I do remember in this very moment, my mom telling me not to choose someone who will never also choose me first. But then he gets up and he's like, I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. He says very many times. And she leaves anyway. Ooh.
And it has to be crushing his soul. But is also very interesting in that I wonder what the flip, like, we don't see the flip side of her work, right?
Yeah.
Like, she obviously has to work 18-hour days
Yeah.
because she has that thing. So what would happen when they really get together?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good that she chose herself in that moment. But as we see, we'll see down, because I'm very interested to what you think about what happens next
Oh.
with, but so she walks out in his
Yeah.
sweats. So
She walks out and she does do a snuggle with her mom for a little while. And the mom's like, so why you here? And she's like, what, can I miss my mom? I'm here for like no reason specifically whatsoever. And the mom is like, she goes quiet for a minute and then she goes, there was a guy before your dad and we were like so in love, but it became clear that I was ready for him, but he wasn't ready for me.
mm-hmm.
And I had to choose, like I had to make the choice of whether I was going to wait for him or whether I was going to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose to move on, and now I'm with your dad and I work for the motherfucking embassy and
Right.
like, things are great or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like forefront of her mind as she goes to his solo show.
Right.
So he's standing there in that fedora again. Whew.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And he sees her walk in and she finds out that Mecca is engaged and it's like this beautiful thing from across the room. Then she goes over to him and they say like hi. But then he immediately gets interrupted by the gallerist and he chooses to go with her to like meet an art person.
Yeah. He's kind of
Which I was
pulled
like,
away,
come on,
and she's
man.
like, listen, I'm not gonna be part of this party to this anymore. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
second anymore. And then the crowd slowly fades away.
Oh shit.
And I think the romance author in me is that is the realization where she realizes that he was always choosing her. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And so she's standing up there in front of this gorgeous painting of her completely naked with a nipple showing.
It's
Like,
right.
her mom would have a fit. I was thinking your mom would have a fit if she saw this.
I mean, but here's the
$100,000
thing.
painting at this point, because he's like probably, or $1 million. He's probably,
I mean,
he's made it.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
in the New York Times. His paintings are selling for at least $100,000 at this point.
Minimum. Yeah. No, but so I don't know, but again, this is because I don't understand abstract art, because he does this like very thick sort of like everything in the background of his paintings is always not realistic, but it's very like, obvious what it is. And then every person, all of the skin tone is like this really thick sort of strokes that he does, like not even with a brush, but with like a paint palette thing.
Yeah.
Like a scraper thing. And so he says that the distortion of that is the distortion of like someone else perceiving you. And that is a really cool idea. But like when I look at it, I just see like a sort of fucked up figure, and like
he's done the layering where he's done the classical art thing, but then he speckled all of this layer. And I think like the multifaceted aspects of a person's personality.
Yeah.
How they are perceived by the viewer.
Completely.
Right.
Yes. And totally, right? And I never would come to that conclusion by myself.
Right.
But it is cool because then the painting, like if you look at it from different angles, like the figure actually like pops out in a 3D sort of way because it's raised so much with the spackling. But anyway, sorry, I say all this to say that I don't know if her mom could be upset about it, because that does not look like a naked woman to begin with. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's the suggestion, but it's not like a detailed drawing of like a nipple hair or something,
Right.
That's what would happen if someone was doing a detailed drawing of me. there would have to be nipple hairs. So, okay, so yeah, I think so too. So it ends with her like going up to this painting and like looking deep into the painting's soul, and then him coming
I
up
love the
behind
way they
her.
did that. I love the
Me too.
juxtaposition and the depth and
The
he.
fact that she was in focus and he was blurred.
Hmm.
And then it ends. You don't know what happens. I think that they're together forever, the end.
Yeah, because how could you see that he has been just
Pining.
so in love, so detailed, so, and then he says her, the,
Oh my God, it's called Her.
oh my God.
Which is also her contacting his phone.
Yeah.
Ooh.
His muse. She is his everything. It is all about her. And when
Mm-hmm.
she was like there and he's just behind her, and it's just like that puts in the focus what you realize what he has been
Mm-hmm.
obsessing over, loving about the whole
Yep.
thing. Everything he has ever done has been about her. And
Yep.
now she gets it. And I think it's great that her mom said that. He was always choosing you. And oh my God, I love it. It was
Yeah, so now it's just the matter of like, because like I think back to the scene where they get together this time, like basically the night before or that morning or whatever, when she obviously wants him to stay in bed, but he takes the work call and then he gets inspired, and so he's sitting by the window doing a sketch, and like it's so obvious in hindsight that their coming back together was incredibly inspirational for his artistic side. And so that's why he wanted to like capture that in the moment. But like at the same time, her experience of that focus is him not being in bed with her.
right.
And like, which is more important to her? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's a really interesting
And I think another
dynamic to think
thing
about.
is when she plays back that conversation, when he says, I want it on the wall by itself. Because he has,
You're right. Oh
right?
shit.
He wants to show her when she says what was so important, her.
Oh shit. Kenya, I didn't even put that together.
She's gonna think about, oh, this is what he was talking about. This what was so important. Her, me.
Oh shit.
See?
Okay, my mind is blown. Yeah, okay.
So she's
All right.
sitting there looking at the picture, talking about, I was pissed off because he got up because it was so important for him to show the most important picture in the collection all by itself, the place of honor. And it's about her.
Oh my gosh.
Me.
Oh my
Me,
gosh,
me,
you're
me.
so right.
So that was dawning on her as he was walking up behind her. Oh my God, it's a happy ever after.
It is.
Because it
No,
kind
straightforward.
Right, yeah. So
I was reading some things afterwards, and people were saying like, fans are upset about like the lackluster ending of Really Love. And after I watched it, I was like, this is not lackluster at all.
Yeah.
You just have to be a romance reader.
You got to get it. You got, like, I can see this lady, the author, the writer, director lady, like, I think she probably puts down 20 books a month. She probably reads 20 romance books a month. It's
at
like,
least.
yeah. So, but she did it in her artsy visual way. It's so much, the music, everything about this film was like, it's a great, like, first movie art piece type of movie type thing. Like it was like, it's too deep for some, like it's kind of like, you can tell it's a film school movie. Like
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a labor of love because, it's straight up like a highfalutin type of, you want to talk about and have a conversation over wine.
Yeah, completely.
Right. So I was like,
if we didn't do this at 11 a.m., I would have wine right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's not too early. 11's fine.
Is it? I mean, I feel like it's a weekend.
It's, the day drinking is fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's fine.
That movie, it was like, I was like, Melanie is gonna kill me.
No, I really liked it.
Because I didn't know before I actually I picked, I just said it because I had put it in my Netflix to be watched pile.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's a perfect time to watch that Kofi Sidibe movie. So
Yeah.
I put that, and I said, "That's love." I hope it ends with a HEA. So okay.
Oh my gosh! All right, do you have a lady love? Do I have a lady love? My lady love is send flowers to friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a while ago, I was having a really, really hard time, and a friend of mine sent me some flowers, and it was just like so nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think it didn't cross my mind to be something that like you do for not a romantic partner, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
which is silly. So yeah, show up to your friend's house with flowers.
Yeah, and I would say call and check on your friends. That would be my lady love, and make a 10-minute conversation an hour and a half.
Yes.
Because I think anytime that you show an interest in somebody, a genuine, caring interest, you don't know what a person is dealing with that day, and you just call them or whatever. It might be a surprise. They might be, convalescing or whatever. That really shows that you care about them and you love them. So,
Yeah.
and I do that. Sometimes I randomly call people just to check on them, see how they're doing. And sometimes people call me and I'm always surprised. And I'm like, oh, you took the time to call me, because nobody calls anymore. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody calls anymore.
Yeah, it's always text.
It's always kind of awkward at first, but then once you get to talking, it's like fun. And then you remember, like, we were 16 at one point and we did this shit all day. Like, totally talk and laugh and have a great conversation. And yeah, that's the lady love for me. So
that is wonderful.
mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, so people need to follow you everywhere. Where can they do it?
I am Kenya Goree-Bell everywhere. TikTok. I'm on TikTok now doing silly stuff. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And my Facebook group is the KGB, the K's Grown and Sexy Book Club. And we do live author talks every Thursday on IG. And so, yeah, Kenya Goree-Bell everywhere.
Wonderful. And I'll link that in the show notes, of course. And yeah, The Chronic came out on January 18th. So it is available for immediate purchase. And now, keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love that fancy waist bead situation.
Waist beads forever. They rock.
Contemplate a waist bead.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Who knows?
They make them in all sizes. Go get them.
Yeah. Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.